Welcome to the Coastal Kitchen. I'm Karen Mashurs, and today I'm having friends over for lunch. We're going to have a wonderful menu that includes quiche, 3 different types, a Tex-Mex with some chorizo sausage. You can find also recipes for a Canadian bacon quiche and a zucchini quiche online. We'll also have a lovely spinach salad with Mandarin oranges, pecans, and then for dessert, a Pavlova. First though, I want to start with my pie crust for my quiche. I've got to tell you, this recipe belongs to my Aunt Barbara. She's 88 years old and she makes pastry every week. The first thing we need is 2 cups of all-purpose flour. And I always take a knife, pack it down a little bit. Need to be a little precise with these measurements. And one of the things that she has made sure that I don't do is touch the dough with my hands until I'm ready to put it to rest in the refrigerator. So I've got 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, and what I'm going to do is take a fork and just mix that together so it's distributed. The next thing we need are 12 tablespoons of shortening, and I use Crisco. And take my knife and do the same thing. Pack it down and scoop it out. That's 1. Two. And I've already gotten 10 in my bowl. So I'm going to put all of these in my bowl. And for this, you need a pastry cutter. And we're going to start cutting that shortening into the flour and the salt. And it takes a few minutes. Just make sure that you keep on working it until it turns into a crumbly pea-size mixture. Another little tip that I like to use a fork to get through the tines of the pastry cutter so I don't miss any of that shortening. We're going to keep right on going, and in just a second you'll see what I'm talking about with the crumbly mixture. It usually takes about 2 to 3 scrapes of the pastry cutter for me to be happy with the consistency of the flour to get it ready for the water. And with this, just make sure that you always use ice cold water. I have some in the refrigerator all the time just in case I want to do this. And sometimes if you're lazy like me, you might just buy a 9-inch pie shell at the grocery store, because it's very quick and easy. Not quite as good to me, but it's a fast fix for a lovely meal. And these quiches that we're making today are wonderful for any meal. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Great savory situation. Okay, let me let you see this. It's getting there. One more time and we will have the right consistency. Now I'm going to use a 1/2 cup of cold water after I get this all scraped out. And you'll notice, if you're watching Aunt Barbara, I have not touched it with my hands. Okay. I'm just going to make a little tiny well in the center, and I'm going to measure out my 1/2 cup of water. and the whole thing goes right in at one time. Start stirring with that fork. And this is where I want to put my hands in it. But it starts to absorb that water, and in just another minute it'll start forming into a ball. I'll give you a peek at that. See how it's starting to get sticky and form into that ball? And give it a couple more little turns of the fork. Get that off. Now it's time to get it out of the bowl. And I'm going to make it form into a ball now. This is the gooey fun part. And I know everybody likes different products, but the one thing my Aunt Barbara believes in is you put this in tin foil in the refrigerator for a minimum of 2 hours, and she really likes it to sit overnight, and that's what I do. So let's put it in this tin foil. I'm going to wash my hands real quick. Because they're nice and greasy. And we're just going to wrap this up. I do about a 3 fold over. And get those ends nice and tight so it doesn't have any air. Now I'm going to put this in here, and I've got one that I made yesterday. And I'm going to be able to show you how it turns out. Got to do a little cleanup here. Now when you open this up, you might see some of the shortening, but that will go away in just a minute. Let's get a nice handful of flour. And I am going to cut this in half because this makes a 9-inch pie shell, top and bottom. And we're going to use half for our first pie. Now I'm just squeezing it around a little bit. Going to knead it, make it a little bit flat, and I'm going to put it in a little flour top and bottom. Okay, just brush it off. I've got my rolling pin, and we're going to roll it out. And I go back and forth, turn it, and this is where I get to make a mess. And we're going to roll it out to about 1/2 inch, just so it fits in your pie shell. And the one thing that you can do, and that I do, is get my pie shell and measure it. So I know that it's going to fit when it goes in. One more time around. And now, let's get that pie shell. See, I know it's going to fit. I'm going to take my rolling pin and just gently lift my pie crust and lay it over my pie dish. You might need to reposition it just a little bit, but it's pretty sturdy. This is pastry dough that you can use for either sweet or savory dishes. Okay, now I've got it fitted in. Get me a little knife, and I'm going to trim my edges. I like to make decorative crusts, and I think the presentation is part of the way something tastes, because we eat with our eyes, you know. All right. There, I've got my pie shell ready to decorate. What I'd like to do now is leave this set for just a minute, and we're going to go over and make our spinach salad. Let me wash my hands up real fast. Okay, now I have about 12 ounces of washed and dried spinach, fresh spinach. This is a very simple salad to make. I love it. My guests always love it. Okay, I need some purple onion. And what I'm going to do is take off that little end right there. And I'm just going to dice with a sort of a rough chop about half of this onion. I love the smell of this. It just makes you want to start eating right away. Okay. I always like to serve some kind of green with anything that I'm cooking. And spinach is so healthy. It's got so many nutrients and vitamins that we all need. So I love it, and that's why I always serve it. Alright, onions right on top. I have 1 can of Mandarin Oranges, and I have drained them. I just left a tiny bit of juice in there. They're going right on top. Let's get all of that. And now, about a half a cup of pecans. I like a little bit more, so more or less, you don't have to measure too much with this. Let's just put them all on top. And now I'm going to toss. I toss with my fingers. So let's start getting it tossed up. I use poppy seed dressing on this. The one thing I will tell you is that if you work in a company that happens to do any drug testing, be careful about poppy seed dressing, because it might show up as a negative. All right. Now the poppy seed dressing, we're going to wait until we're ready to serve. Put it on about 5 minutes before you get ready to serve it. I have got a store-bought poppy seed dressing. If you're really industrious, you can make one yourself. But I like this one just fine. We're going to take a short break right now and be back to make our quiches and finish our pie crust.
ATMC TV and the Coastal Kitchen would like to say thank you to our sponsors at Food Lion, your neighborhood grocery store. Since 1957, Food Lion has been offering the highest quality products at low prices with great service. Swing by your local Food Lion today to find all the ingredients needed to make the meal featured on this week's show.
Let's start with our Tex-Mex. Tex-Mex, you can make this as hot as you want. It's how you like it. But we're going to start with our eggs. I have 5 eggs. And we're going to make sure everything turns out good with those eggs and get them all put into this bowl, our big bowl. This is where you can use a little cayenne if you want to. It's not in the recipe, but it'll give it a little bit more heat. Okay? Do use a jalapeno, and jalapeno is really to taste. So we'll start putting those ingredients in just a minute once we get our eggs all ready. All right, now that's 5 eggs, and we're going to take those 5 eggs after I give my hands a little wash. Got some egg white on those hands. We're going to whisk. And just remember that whisking tip. Whisk with your arm, not with your wrist. All right. I'm going to go ahead and put in my cream. I've got 3/4 of a cup of light cream. And what I do with light cream is I'll take a 1/2 cup of regular milk and 1/4 of a cup of heavy cream and make my own light cream. It works really well. Okay, little noise there. Now this is something that if you have another favorite ingredient, you can add too. I like it like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some tomatoes in, diced. It's a medium-sized tomato. We're going to put that in. I'm going to put in 1.5 cups of Mexican cheese. It's 3 cheeses mixed into one, and it's already shredded for you, so you don't have to spend all that time with the shredding. Okay, I'm going to put about a teaspoon of oregano, and I'm just eyeballing that one. We've got a little bit of Hungarian paprika. This is a little bit of hot. You can put in a little bit more if you want to, but I put just a touch. Get that all mixed in. And then we're going to dice some onion up to put in too. I've got my jalapeno and my onion. And all I'm going to do is just take a little bit more to add to the onion that I've already diced. And we're going to get that in real quick. Just a rough chop. Just want to get those onions to look earthy. It's not important how they look, it's important how they taste. Okay, I'm going to put my onions in, and I've got a small to a medium onion is what you want to put in this. And you can eyeball that too. Give it a quick stir. Let's get all that incorporated. And now comes the jalapeno, the hot part. Take your jalapeno and cut it straight down the middle. And on one of our other shows just recently, I showed you the grapefruit spoon. It's great for taking the seeds and the vein out of a jalapeno. All you have to do is use that. See how easy? Now let's cut. I see a seed or two. The seeds are where the heat is. So I'm just going to cut these in really thin slices. And I'm only going to use about 1/4 of this jalapeno because it can get very hot. And these are going to get cut into little itty bitty tiny pieces. And I've got to look at another pie shell just to make sure everything is good. There it is right in front of me, so it's just about ready to put our filling in. Got one more element, and that's chorizo. And I'm going to wash my hands before these peppers make me forget that I've got them on there, because you want to make sure you get all that pepper juice off. I have cooked 3 chorizo sausages, and those chorizo sausages are made from pork and red roasted peppers. And when you cook them, if you smash them with a fork, they start to look a little bit like chili or ground beef. I have let this cool because I didn't want to add it to my egg mixture hot. but now is the time that we're putting it in. Okay. Now it's starting to look like that Tex-Mex. Take a peek. Let's stir it all around. Get it nice and incorporated. You can see the red and the green, yellow. It is ready. Let me move this over just a bit and get my, okay, that's cooled down enough. And we're going to be careful how much we fill here. Alright, I'm just spreading that out. Alright, I think we've got just a little bit more than we need. Now, what you can do is you can put that in a ramekin, and if you're watching calories, you don't have to eat that crust. You can have it just like it is. Now, I'm going to take some chopped up cilantro. Just get about 2 tablespoons, and I'm taking my fork. I'm putting this on the top of the pie, just crumbling it up, and I'm going to make just a little zigzag motion because I want some of it to get in and I want some of it to stay on top. Okay? We're going to put the egg wash around the edges of the crust, and this is going to go into the oven. Alright. And you don't have to be real particular about how it looks because quiche is supposed to be a rustic farm type meal. Alright, into the oven, 450, and we're going to leave it 15 minutes and then turn the heat down to 350.
ATMC TV and the Coastal Kitchen would like to say thank you to our sponsors at Holden Brothers Farm Market in Charlotte for supplying the fresh produce on this week's show. For over 25 years, the Holden Brothers Farm Market has specialized in the freshest locally grown produce on their 250 acres in Charlotte. Swing by their indoor market located near mile marker 10 on Highway 17 or check them out online at holdenbrothersfarmmarket.com.
Welcome back. It's time for dessert. Are you ready for something quick and light and absolutely delicious? It's called a Pavlova, and it's actually meringue. I've already gotten 5 egg whites into my mixer, and you need to use a stand mixer. We're going to turn this on to medium, and we're going to froth these eggs up as quickly as we can. We're going to use 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. We're going to use 3/4 of a teaspoon of vanilla. And we're going to put in 1/4 of a teaspoon of cream of tartar. That cream of tartar stabilizes the eggs. We're just going to let that move to high for about 1 minute. We want this nice and frothy, and it's getting loud. We'll have this ready in just a moment. I'm going to turn this off for just a second so you can see how frothy and creamy these egg whites have gotten. Don't they look lovely? Alright, now we're going to put it back on medium, and we're going to put in our cup and a tablespoon of sugar. Just slide it right on in there. And we're going to take it to high for about 1 minute. These Pavlovas are a wonderful summer and spring dessert because you fill them with fruit, and you can use any fruit that you like. I'm using today bananas, pineapple, coconut, and raspberries. I've just cut them all up, sprinkled a little sugar on the top, And after we put those in our little well of a Pavlova, after they're finished, we'll be ready to eat. See how the egg whites are starting to turn a glossy color? And they'll have stiff peaks in just a minute. That's where you want to get them to. And this dessert takes about 5 minutes to prepare, but it takes 2 hours in a 200-degree oven. Then you can let them set in the oven overnight, and they'll dry out a little bit more. You want to make these at least 24 hours in advance. Okay, I've got hard peaks. They're nice and stiff. We're going to take this off. You can see how formed and firm that is. All right, let's get this out so I have plenty. And I've got to get one more thing, and that's a big spoon. This is going to be about 1/2 cup. And I'm getting the big scoop. And I've got a knife right here. I'm putting it on parchment paper. And we're going to scoop it out just like that. You want to leave about 1 inch between each Pavlova. See how wonderful that looks? Looks like marshmallow, and it almost is. Okay, now what I'm going to do is just make, with a swirling type motion, a nice well in the center. And we're going to do that with all 6. When we come back, I'll have everything assembled and we're going to have a party. My friends have arrived.
ATMC TV and the Coastal Kitchen would like to say thank you to our sponsors at Food Lion, your neighborhood grocery store. Swing by your local Food Lion today to find all the ingredients needed to make the meal featured on this week's show.
Welcome back to the Coastal Kitchen. Everything's ready. I've put my fruit on my Pavlova. We're ready to go in and have this to share with friends. This is a meal that you'd like to share with friends. Remember, you can find us on Facebook or you can contact us at atmctv.com. It's all in how you like it.
This is ATMC TV Channel 3. We bring you the best of Brunswick.
Is 6:30 too early for a Get Fit workout? Are your weeknights too hectic to catch West Brunswick football? Find yourself missing all your favorite ATMC TV shows? Well, now you don't have to. ATMC TV is airing all their latest shows on demand. Stop, pause, fast forward, or rewind. Watch your shows on your time. Tune to Channel 1 to see shows like Get Fit, Tea Time, Community Spotlight, and more. Stay connected to beautiful Brunswick County with ATMC TV On Demand, brought to you free by ATMC. Want to know more about the businesses in your community?
ATMC TV Channel 3 is currently airing Brunswick Biz, a show that concentrates specifically on local Brunswick and Columbus County businesses. This month, tune to Channel 3 to catch exclusive interviews with Inlet View, The Dinner Bell, Mama at the Bridge Grill, and OIB Surf and Java. Brunswick Biz airs every day at 5:30. Stay up to date with ATMC TV Channel 3 as they connect Brunswick County, one business at a time.